Well, the President's Cup takes place just every 4 years in the United States. It's the 12 best US golfers facing off against the 12 best international golfers minus Europe. Well, you might already know, but the tournament gets underway tomorrow, right across the Hudson River at Liberty National in Jersey City. I sat down with two opposing team reps, 2017 US Open champion Brooks Koepka and Australia's Marc Leishman, fresh off a third PGA Tour win this year. Have a listen.
No, it doesn't get old. I think signing those flags is pretty neat. It's special every time, and it's fun to hear, when you get in the first tee, U.S. Open champion. I think that's pretty cool. So I don't know if I'll ever get tired of it.
Well, and Marc, you are perhaps, as somebody once said, one of the most underappreciated sportsmen because you've this year won 3 PGA Tours and you're also a rising star.
Yeah, it's been a good year for me. Obviously we'd like to try and finish off the year with a big week here at the President's Cup. Be a lot of fun.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the President's Cup because it alternates with the Ryder Cup, and the Ryder Cup gets so much more publicity in some ways because it's Europe versus the US, Team International versus the US this time. But you should have an advantage. You're playing on courses that you play a lot. You're playing in America, and you live in Virginia Beach, right, Marc? So does that give your team an advantage?
I'm not sure if it gives us an advantage. The New York crowds will certainly be pretty loud, and they'll be supporting the US team. But being in such a multicultural city as well, I mean, it's hopefully there'll be plenty of internationals out there to support us. But yeah, it's going to be like I said, a big week, and hopefully one that the internationals can come out on top.
11 times it's been played now. The US has won 9 of the 11, and one of the other times it was a tie. So the internationals have really only won once. Brooks, do you anticipate this streak will continue? What are you going to do to make sure that it does?
I mean, I hope so. I mean, I think every guy here is going to say that their team's going to win, but it'll be a fun week. I think being in New York City, having the fans behind us, it'll be a fun tournament. I think everyone's ready to go. Speaking
of which, you've got the captains, Steve Stricker and Nick Price, amazing golfers back through the generations, but they have amazing assistant golfers. Tiger is an assistant golfer this time around, an assistant captain, I should say. Brooks, has he passed on any advice to you yet? Is there anything that you would like to learn from Tiger? Yeah, he's actually been blowing my phone up pretty much every day for the last few weeks. It's been fun. I think we've got this pod going where he's captaining my pod, so it's pretty cool, pretty fun. Just to hear what he's got to say. I mean, last year at the Ryder Cup was interesting. But this year, get to know him more on a personal level, and being close friends with him is nice. And of course, Marc, it's a huge tournament. I mean, we're talking about 4 days, but many, many matches. Which part of the week do you imagine will be the most difficult?
Well, I mean, I think the foursomes for the international team in the past has been probably a weak point. So we've certainly tried to work on that. Change a few little things just to try and get off to a better start. That hadn't been. In the past, we haven't got off to the greatest start, so that's definitely, we're trying to improve that, and we're playing a really good team. The Americans are strong. They've had a stranglehold on the cup for quite a while, and we're looking to try and change that. Yeah, I mean, it's strange, right? Because you're playing against some of your best friends, but you're also teaming up with some of your worst enemies. I mean, Jason Day, Adam Scott. You're going to maybe be matched with them in four balls or foursomes potentially. How do the captains strategize? Do you tell them who you feel like you have chemistry with this week, or is it all done in advance, Brooks? Yeah, I think a lot of it's done in advance. We kind of have an idea, or at least the Americans have an idea of what we're doing as far as the next few days. Why don't you give us some of that strategy? Yeah, I think, Tiger's come up with 50 different things. He was blowing my phone up late last night trying to figure out who I might play with here, who I might play with there, and depending on who it might be. Golf balls, some guys play the same golf balls, so it makes it a little easier. Everybody knows what they're doing. So I think they're still trying to figure it out. Still trying to play with different teams and see where it goes from there. That's fascinating that the golf balls actually come into play. But when you think about it, it makes so much sense. Marc, is that also a factor for Team International, which, by the way, has also people like Hideki Matsuyama and others? Definitely. I think, like Brooks says, the golf ball's a big part of it. Personality, and then who has similar games or who complements each other. So we also have a language barrier as well. So on certain teams. So it's that's part of it. There's a lot of things that Captain Price has to take into it, but this is his third go at it. So hopefully he's, I'm sure he's experienced enough to know who to put who with and what's going to work best.
What will be the challenge of Liberty National for you both, Marc?
Yeah, there's the greens are very undulating, a lot of water around there, and the crowds for the international side. There's going to be a rowdy crowd. It's going to be probably very
one-sided. That's the Australians, right? That's not going to be.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, it's going to be like I say. Big crowds, and it's just obviously the American team is really strong. So they're probably the two main challenges for us.
Brooks, have you history with Liberty National?
I've actually never seen the golf course, so head out later today, go see it for the first time. I don't think we've even talked about it in the team room.
What day are you both most looking forward to in terms of the style of play, Brooks?
I'd say foursomes. I think that's probably the most fun you can have. I think it's interesting. There's so much that comes into play with it, figuring out what holes certain guys are going to tee off on and things like that. So I really enjoy it. I think it's a fun format.
I mean, I've been on two losing sides, so hopefully we can be on the other end of that and enjoy it even more.